Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, February 21st. We're going to do a somewhat quick EDU session here. I want to cover something really quickly in regards to it's like your psychology, our psychology as traders, and a very common statement. And then we're going to get into really more or less scalping techniques, and we'll be looking specifically at the 2 minute and the 3 minute charts from this week. And we can reference the 10 minute, right? I know the 10 minute CBC strategy is a big part of the system that's used in House of Stacks, right? But I want to just look at optimizing those entries within that system. So first things first here, what we're going to do is I'm going to put up an image for a few seconds. And when you see this image, I want you to try to remember at least three different items that are blue. All right. So here we go. Ready? Okay. So now thinking about that image, think about all of the items that you can recall that were blue. Now, what did you see that was yellow? You probably didn't see anything that was yellow because your brain is designed to filter out your reality to only focus on what you deem to be important in that moment. Okay. One of my least favorite phrases is perception is reality, right? And this is an example of that, using perception to dictate what your reality is. It doesn't mean that it is the actual reality, and more than likely, it's not. So, in other words, you are never seeing all of reality. You're only viewing it through your perceptions. This applies well beyond little experiments like this. And if you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you're not capable enough, then that's what you will see. That is your perception. If you believe you cannot be successful, if you believe you can't be a good trader, or I'll never be as good a trader as so and so, then that's what your brain will see. This is your perception, and that is what your brain focuses on because you're telling your brain what is important. You are setting the filter. So ultimately, you are the programmer of your mind and of your life. You are the trainer of your reality. If you can change the programming, you can change what you see and set yourself on a life changing path. Or you can stick to your current programming. The choice is yours. All right. So, a little thing that I thought up this morning, and then, because I know a lot of people struggle with trading, is a very, very difficult concept. So, I think it's really important to understand, hey, it's difficult, it's challenging, but it is not impossible. Okay. And we need to be mindful of that and be programming a more successful reality. So let's go back to the beginning of the week, right? We're gonna go all the way back to Monday. Here we go. This would have been Monday's open, okay? And so I never really switched. I don't say never really. I never switched to the 2 minute. From the 2 minute to the 3 minute, I stuck with the 2 minute. Okay. And so, what I want to call out is what were potentially optimal 2 minute or 3 minute pullback entries for you to take trades. Now, um, I will say this, like just right out of the gate, that obviously you can see here, like this example being that it is Monday, right? What do we have going into the open of this session? So I just need to bring my other chart up to look at the 10 minute as well so that I have things lined up here. So, okay, so I know that you guys can only see the 2 and the 3, but you could always follow along on the 10. So what we have here is, as we break down, when we're breaking down in pre-market lows, this is ultimately the session low. This is pre-market low that's being put in right here. Okay. This is near the key pivot and just under where we closed on Friday the 13th, right here. So when we first initially push back up, right, we are extended from the EMAs on both the 2 and the 3 minute chart. That's fine. But the one thing that you will notice on both of these charts, at least right off of the open, is the failure to do what, right? The failure to reclaim the lower time frame CBC. Doji, 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 doji. Finally, it flips and it, no, sorry, it doesn't flip. It continues lower, right? And while that's not an entry signal in reference to the to 2-minute 20 and the 3-minute 20. If you followed me on stream, I literally wrote the 2-minute 20 like on my finger and on my hand. Like I just need to ingrain that my best entries come and my best trades come when I'm closest to this 20 EMA. So regardless, on the 1-minute time frame, I know we were right there. On the 2-minute, we were a little bit extended. But if you're not an opening bell trader, which I think most people would be better and do better if they weren't, right? You recognize that, hey, this isn't my setup. Now, when we do this, right? When we put in this break of the low here, right? We put in this big low, and the 10-minute is popping up as well. And so when your 10-minute closes here, this is the end of the 10-minute candle closes here with a very long tail doji off the lows inside of 10 a.m., often a reversal that we're going to go break the highs. You cannot just blindly take a short off the 2-minute 20 saying, hey, we haven't touched the 2-minute 20. Or you can't say, hey, we haven't touched the 3-minute 20 since all the way in pre-market. I'm going to go short. This is going to work. You can't expect that. The lower time frame candle by candle has flipped long. And so the higher time frames are now starting to respond the same way. And so when you get to this point here, you are looking at a 5-minute candle by candle that's long, a 2-minute candle by candle that's long, a 3-minute, right? And the 10 is in the process of flipping. So this is not a viable entry. When we come up here, right? And now you might be looking at like, okay, well, we've broken a new high of day and then we're coming back down. By the time you get down here, look how you have a complete reversal setup. Whether you're looking at the 2 or the 3, a doji at the high here does not signify strength. It also doesn't, oftentimes doesn't even signal continuation, right? It signals that there is going to be a larger pullback coming. That larger pullback fails here. One of the things that I've learned time and time again is that when we have this sort of round over, that I can't attempt to go in long or get long here because, and regardless of where the 9 EMA is or if because at this point the 10-minute is long. So just looking at the 2-minute 20 or the 3-minute 20, I can't just blindly get in long here because I need to see the lower time frame flip back. I need to see that on a lower time frame, bulls are regaining control. When they fail to do that and we break lower, bang, there is the entry, right? This happens time and time and time again. And at this point, when you would be looking at the 10-minute chart, right? If you pull this up on the 10-minute and you're following along, here is your 10-minute orb high. Does this not scream 10-minute orb high, fake out, breakout? And you are still under VWAP here. This, bang, like optimal trade entry, absolutely fantastic. It's a very, very close retouch here on the 3-minute. You could have gotten in here if you wanted to, just knowing that, hey, this is a very serious 3-minute candle here. You've engulfed 1, 2, nearly 3. Nearly 9 minutes of price action was engulfed in 3, right? If you waited for this to pull back up and you say, well, what are they really going to do when this comes back down and this candle returns red? A short entry here at 70, risking this candle's high is not even 15 points risk. Without 15 points risk, right? Ultimately, your final target, or if you only had one con, right? And if you only had one con and said, I'm going to take this trade to take this trade, logically speaking, now the target is the low of day. So if you were looking at here on the 3-minute, right, which is a 70s entry, or you say, on the 2-minute, right, when it pushes back up and maybe you still risk that same high, right? So maybe this is about a little bit more than 15 points. This is about 15 points. Let's call it 20. Let's round up and call it 20. You don't get the best entry, or you give it a little bit more leeway, what have you. If you entered in here, let's just put the level there, and then your break of the low of day, right? You're looking at 68 points, 67 and a half, I think, but versus 20 points risk. Is that not, that's like more than 3-1, right? But even if you don't take the 3-1, even if you just take it off at 1-1 and you're like, hey, I'm good, that's a 1-1, very repeatable, very high probability strat. Okay. So that would be number one. Number two, let's go down to the next time the 20 period EMA is interacted with on the 2 and the 3. And guys, I'm going to pay attention to the chat too. And if you guys have any any questions, let me know. Yes, that is a little like lovely sell green buy red on a lower time frame. You wouldn't have had that on the 10, right? Which I think that Maple's been specifically trying to preach that to you on the 10 minute, right? It wouldn't have been on the 10 on that one. You get down here, right? So here a little bit less probable. You need to be cautious because we've already broken the lows, right? We broke the lows again, snap back up. Again, so now that you've seen that, low of day has been broken. No strength below it. Wicking back up. You cannot just blindly go short on the 20 EMA. Okay. Once you get that reaction off the 20 EMA again, you engulf this candle. I realize the CBC doesn't flip, but for all intents and purposes, you engulf that candle. Even if you waited until you actually got the signal and you entered in here at 13, you know, you should definitely be targeting or below at that point, right? It's a tight range day. That's 20 points, right? So 20 points there, and it was about 20 points to the high. So about 1 to 1. Again, less probable, pivot already broken. You have to understand that. This move, later entry, quicker profit taking, that's a scale trigger. And you can tell that's a scale trigger because look what's been going on under here the whole time. Right? On the 3 minute, swift rejection off of that 20 EMA, you close back down, just take it. Just take it as an entry here at 16s or whatever. About 20 points again, same deal. All right. Um, Look at this, right? It looks like, hey, we're reversing. Traders will be like, yo, look at this, Joe. Like, I see we're forming a big W pattern on the bottom off the bottoms, right? Be double bottom there. We are gonna go and break the highs. Yeah, that's fine and everything, but you can't enter long up here, right? You're too far away from risk, right? If you're just using the scalping strategy off of the 20 EMA, doesn't matter if we're talking about the 2 or the 3, you are too far away from risk. And then what happens? 2 minutes, right? Double doji, 3 minute, hammer candle here at the high, not a sign of strength. I love this right here. This is one of the things I love right here. When we wick over and we start to move down, that's it, man. That is it. Um, does the same thing here on the 2, right? You have the doji, it wicks over and then it comes back down. Bro, like you take this and people were like, "How did you get this short entry?" Well, because I already knew, right? I already knew that they were struggling, right? This Look at this. Then all of a sudden we have this. Looks like exhaustion with the upper wick. Uh-oh, what's going on here? We tried to go higher. We closed back down lower. And if for anybody who's eyeballing it, that's a golden zone retracement right from here to ultimately what is the low of day. Okay, so you could add additional confluence there, but even if you didn't, right, and you were waiting, okay, well now I'm back under the 20 period EMA. Like this is the one. This is going to be one that's tough, right? This one might be one where you take the L, unless you move your stop or you trail your stop back to break even, right? It moves from 23. Yeah, I mean you were up over 20 points. Even from here, you were up over 20 points. You should not let this trade go red, and that's my opinion. It does the same thing here. When again, look, it pops lower high, candle is engulfed, right? Nasty looking doji on the 3 if you're staying with the 3. And I know some of you are staying with the 3. I don't use the 3. The purpose of showing the 3 here is literally for all of you guys. I'm not going to start using the 3. Right? I have literally thousands of hours in it looking at the 2 minute chart. I'm very comfortable at the 2 minute. I don't like the 3. It's not even. There's an uneven amount of candles in the 10-minute candle. I don't like it. I like 10-5 too. But that's me. So same strat, same thing here. You can't go long up here, regardless of what it looks like. The 10-minute is still ugly, and you're under VWAP anyways, right? So if you're looking for long entry scalps, that is a totally different strategy off the lows. Same thing here. What do we do? We break low of day, scale trigger and scale trigger, right? Scale trigger at the orb low, scale trigger at the low of day. We scale under low of day. Look at the 3, can't close under. Look at 3, can't close under. Row. We are going to reverse. So now, when you get into here at this point, right, and you've made multiple attempts to break lower, look what happens here. Okay, we do get the candle by candle flip into the 2-minute 20, right? But look where the candle closed, closed right on it. So that's a cause for concern, right? After this many attempts and this again a failed break at the low when the pivot was broken again, is it really wise to go short here? Most likely not. Okay, because you can see this attempt here at the 2-minute 20 was held, and now, right, we wicked under it because you're not going to be just chasing in. Can't just chase in short here, right? You guys, you can't just say, "Oh, the 20 minutes breaking, 20 periods breaking. I got to get in. We're gonna go lower." Like, you gotta wait for candles to close. Wicks do the damage. Bodies do. Sorry, yeah, wicks do the damage. Bodies tell a story. Okay. It wicks under this candle low, but does it close under it? No. No. Right. Stays here. Finally, you get two, you're just chopping. You're like, well, what are we doing here? Tell you what you should be doing, sitting on your hands because you don't have clear indication in the lunchtime hour what to do. Plus, this is like a part-time day, right? This it was a half-day holiday. Don't do anything this late in the day because it's gonna be shit. So then let's move on. God, why am I scrolling? I should have just moved it. All right. So here we go. We'll get into the next day. Right. All right. Damn. Okay. We're going to have to be zoomed in and then we'll zoom back out. Okay. Okay. So now here we are. Should we take pre workout before you start? Yes. Yes. You should take pre workout before you jump on this EDU session. All right. 2 and 3 minute. 2 and 3 minute, right? Off the rip, none of you guys are doing anything, right? You're like, let me chill, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Um, if you're not and you're like thinking about it, like don't get faked out into the short. Like once this candle flip, this candle by candle flips long. You're long into the open on the 2. You're long into the open. Um, you're long into the open on the 10, right? Everything is candle by candle long here. So when you're looking long here, if you take this, whatever, you have the 2 minute, you have the 3 minute. You really, I could see somebody who just like slaps it. They put risk down here at this pivot, they're gonna get stopped out because, well, why? It's the obvious place to put stop losses. So like where do you think it's gonna go? Right. And even though your order is sim, you're just operating the same way that most traders in the market are operating, right? So 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. All right. Damn it. I'm already at 17 minutes. We gotta hustle this up. Look, so uh big knife, right? Like doji's over here. You're over pre-market highs, etc. You're over the London highs, and you're pushing into the overnight session high area. MTF cloud is up here if you're using that, whatever. All right. You also broke the bill, and then you're starting to reverse. So you reverse engulfing candle. Can you go long here? No. Okay. No, you can't. It busts down, right? When it busts down, right, you get the pop up here and you short here. You don't have the 10 minute in your favor, but you certainly do have the 2 minute, right? And then look at what happened here. You see this upper wick right here on the 2 minute? It means they failed to push it back up. That's failure. The next one is a little bit of covering. You get a little bit of wick up into VWAP in the 2 minute 20 EMA, and yoink, it's gone. The 3 minute, very aggressive sell candle with follow through, nearly closing on the lows. It pulls back. If that's not your trade, then don't take the trade, right? If that's not your setup that you've back tested, feel comfortable with when price action is moving fast, just don't take it. Just because it worked this time doesn't mean you should take it, right? Like if I was taking it and I was trading off the 2 minute and I waited for this candle to close back or to get back to being red, I might be entering in here, and really like appropriate stop loss should probably be here, which is 27 points. Like it seems like nothing. That little wick is 27 points. You got to watch out because price action is moving fast. First target immediately is this low, right? Because I know we've already swept stops. We've been under there. That's 45 points with a 20. It's about 2 to 1. Next, of course, like scale trigger would be here. And then I think we're looking at right here, right? Just like the actual pre-market low. So boom, 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 and if let's just say you take a quarter of the position down here, you're looking at 130 points when you risked 27 to start. So anybody quick with math? So let's move on. 3 minute, same sort of deal. Okay, you get a pullback here. right? You don't touch the 2-minute 20 and you probably touch the 2-minute 9. People are like, oh man, I missed it. And then you get the FOMO chaser who thinks it's just, oh, we're gonna break low a day because they saw this candle. And then they get in short right here. And what happens? You're dead. That's it. You lost that trade, and now you're pissed. Now you're pissed because you lost this. You didn't take this one, and you didn't take this one, but you took it here, and it didn't work. I remember seeing this live. This was like a nasty pump, right? But hey, they reject off of EWAP, the nice back down. You get a 2-minute candle by candle flip back onto a 2-minute 20, and look what they give you. A absolutely beautiful chef's kiss entry right there, right there, right? So if you got in on the 2-minute 20 touch there, and you were like, okay, I'll risk the prior candle's high, a lot. That's 35 points. So you might need to be thinking about, okay, I need to size down, right? And maybe you don't get the entry right there. Maybe you actually get the entry here, and then instead you risk the candles high, and that's only 20 points, right? So you would nearly get stopped. That's okay. And it moves down on the following candle. Maybe you scale because it broke this candle's low. It's 33 points, risking 20. It's 1.5 to 1. And then you're good. It goes to breaks a new low of day, which is a scale trigger, right? You could have scaled some off here, that would have been fine. You scale here when you break low of day. Ta-da, you get trail stopped and you're fine. Now, it pushes up with strength, pushes up with strength, pushes up with strength, pushes up with strength. Now, here, by the time you get to here, candle by candle has flipped long. On the 10-minute, I'll see. Yeah, on the 10-minute, I was always going to show you, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds. On the 10-minute, you can see you have a very strong engulfing candle. And that engulfing candle would have closed right here off of the lows, right? Engulfing a lot of this prior price action. It moves sideways. It pulls into the 2-minute 20, and voila. It never actually touches. It gets to be pretty close. Sucks if you missed it, but if you missed it, you missed it. However, this one right here is pretty good. Why is this one pretty good? Remember, I covered that reversal candle structure here, right? You would get the 2-minute touch, and you would not get the 3-minute. Now, yes, you do get a 3-minute touch here, but technically speaking, the 10-minute candle had not the 10-minute had not closed yet, right? The 10-minute had not flipped long. You would just be buying the flip, saying, "Hey, we looks like we had a fake out breakout," which we did, and now it looks like we're reclaiming the 3-minute 20, which we are. So I'm going to try to get in long, right? Just like potentially here when the wicks back down would be great, but the 10 minutes not long there yet. You're kind of like buying in advance of the flip, but you're off the lows and the pivot was broken. So I don't know that that's ideal, right? That's not what I'm trying to illustrate here. Great one here, 2-minute candle by candle reverse structure here, right? Like with this inverted hammer here, pushes up. Like if you waited or you waited for it to reclaim, just got in up here, you'd be in at like 9, 10, and you'd be risking, under 93, maybe 17 points. Where should you scale? Well, like the initial thought is like, well, let me scale at the highs. But unfortunately you don't break that. So that one would suck. However, if you got in here, right, at 11, you would have already scaled before you broke the high because even the top of this candle was 65 points away. So I don't think anybody in the house of stacks is letting a trade go 65 points in their favor and still letting it stop them out red. If they are, please let me know. We can have a serious discussion. Gives you another sort of like flag look entry into here. And look, if you enter in off the 2-minute 20 here, right? Again, you don't get a 3-minute 20 tap, so forget it. You enter the 2-minute 20 here. Where are you scaling? Obviously, you're scaling at the break of this candle, right? So if you got in here, that's 36. Let's say you got in at 45. You would have been in at 45, and really, you should only really be risking about this pivot. That's about 25 points, and 45 to 80 is 35 points. So a little bit more than 1-to-1. You scale, you move stop to break even, blah, 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 blah. You get stopped out break even on the remainder, and hey, that's a good scalp, good job. Or you just take it all off because it broke the pivot, because it was just like this lightning rod of a candle that had no follow through. The next candle came all the way back down to your entry. You're probably trail stopped out there, as you should be. You've already scaled. It's good, right? That should be deeply concerning, right? For anybody in this trade, deeply concerning. You flew up. You broke this pivot. The next candle's immediately coming back down. Rudro. Okay. Then you get into lunch hour and it gets really choppy, and you can see you're just playing crisscross applesauce with the EMAs. You get like a very, very weak candle by candle flip here, short, but it does pull back here. If you took it off of this pullback, good on you. Um, if you got in like very close to the touch, you're at 20s, and you're like, hey, I want the bill breaker, you did get over 40 points. And even if you just set it to a blatant like 20-point risk, you were good, right? So it was 2 to 1. It reclaims here, it pulls back. That's concerning because you damn near engulf that whole thing, and you can see where the pivots are lining up perfectly. Then it pulls back some more, it goes a little bit deeper, goes through VWAP, comes back, it's chopping, 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 chopping. But here's the thing about this chop, okay? About like why you don't want to be looking to go short here. It's like at this point, the candle by candle is short on the 10 this entire time. And you like, in my opinion, I don't see how you're looking to take this short anywhere in through here because you're not flipping the 2-minute candle by candle short, right? So like if we can't reclaim control on a smaller time frame, how can I expect a bigger time frame move? That's an important thing, right? Like if the shorter time frame doesn't align with the bigger time frame, how are we going to move like the bigger time frame? Right? When we're just constantly chopping, like no decision, no decision, no decision, no, no, no. It's like it's all of this is long. So like when it reclaims long here, I could understand why someone's like, look, we had all this time, we couldn't flip it. I'm gonna enter in long here, and I'm gonna put my stop under this candle's low. Right? Now, that might be tough for a lot of people to do, right? That's 30 points risk. And a lot of people might be like, hey, you know what? Like, and they might get the stop. But like from a technical perspective, you shouldn't have stopped. And so like Robbie and I have talked about this a lot. If you're putting your stops on the chart and you're thinking about from a technical perspective, where should I stop? Then that's down here. Now, when we use to trade options a lot, it would be a lot more to do with like technical stops because you'd be looking at the options contract chart, you'd be looking at the underlying chart, and you'd be like, okay, well, where should I stop? And then you would size appropriately, assuming that like, well, roughly this area on the chart or this area on the options chart was, $50, $60, whatever, a con. I'm going to size appropriately instead of taking my usual 20 cons, I'll take 10, or if my usual 5 cons, I'll take 3, right? Because I want to make sure that the dollar risk is appropriate. With futures, people don't seem to be doing that. They're just like, well, I'm going to trade my 10 micros and I'm going to have my 15-point risk, and my blah, blah, blah target. And hey, that's nice. That's cute, dude. But like, that's not going to work a lot. And then when it doesn't work a lot and you get frustrated that's not working a lot, well, let's go with the technical stop. And then it flies. Right. And then it flies. So you're going to, and again, from this entry here at 80s, you're probably going to scale up over this pivot break here. So it's about 25 points. You might decide to scale over this, which is fine, or definitely this one, which would be great. You see how there's some consolidation here. No 2-minute 20 tap. You actually do get a 2-minute 20 tap up here, which is pretty fantastic. And at this point, you're just above the orb high. This is the orb high. So you get entries on the 3-minute. Like it's rough. Like on the 3-minute, it actually is flip short, and so you can be getting in this scenario. You could be getting faked out into the short, but it's rough. It's like a very weak flip, and you're back over VWAP trying to like hold after you knife through. You've reclaimed it with very great strength, and you can't seem to push any lower. All right, so it was a tough spot. That was a tough spot to trade. It's also consider where you are. It's lunchtime. It's slower. Price action can be choppy, and you need to make sure that you target good entries. All right, let's move on to the next day. Sorry here. I'm already getting longer than I thought this was going to be, and I apologize. I hope you guys will find value in this. If you do and you watch this on YouTube, please hit the like button. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for, dog. Come on. I want to just clear your drawing set. Okay. Let's again assume that, you're not an opening bell trader, blah, 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 and you're going to wait. So here's the orb high. So now price has made a significant move without you. You're feeling all the FOMO. You're like, oh, I missed it. Right. And there's your pre-market high right here. So pre-market high and orb high are basically the same. Okay, that's fine. If you want to get into the 2 minute 20, then you got or the 3 minute 20, you got to wait. So if you're gonna wait, you're really waiting until here. And it sucks because you waited and waited and waited, and the market made this big move without you. And if you took the long here on like this tap, saying, all right, well, I'm waiting the first 10 minutes. This is after the first 10 minutes. It's a very strong move. Okay. But, um, you end up giving it back. You end up getting trail stopped out, break even, and then boom, it runs. You don't get an entry really until here on the 3 minute. And at that point, it's pretty tough because you've basically been consolidating here for a while. And so there's like your highs, there's your lows, like in this straight consolidation. And when they can't break the high, what are they likely to do? Break the low, right? And so they swoop back down. We actually swooped under under into like the 10 minute 9 area, and then we before we pop back up, and then made a new high, which is 100% a scale trigger. So tougher on the 3 minute. I like the 2 minute. 2 minute I felt like was easier, right? If we zoom in, what did you see? Yes, the 2 minute candle by candle was short, but you saw the buyers step up and then hold. And the candle by candle that flipped, where did you close? Right there. Let the candle close. Once the candle's closed, okay, you could just take it. Like if you're just like, okay, the candle's closed, I'm just going to take it. Right? You're in at 84. Your risk is under 77. I mean, it's 7 points. Let's say you don't get an 84. Or let's say you're like, well, for the sake of argument, I'm going to put 15 points stop on. Fine. You have let's just say you have 15 points. 15 points from wherever your entry was. I'll give you a less generous entry here at 88. The top of this candle by itself is 104. That's 15 points. It comes back down to your entry multiple times. Maybe you trail stop out or whatever, right? But it gives you multiple chances to take the same trade. You see the same thing is happening. They're not giving it up. They're not moving lower. Maybe you re-enter or something like that. You re-enter a little bit higher here at 93. You're ultimately should be eyeing the high of day. And there's 22 points, right? So not enough for you to get stopped out on. After that, you're just playing crisscross with the 2 minute 20, and nothing's looking good, and you had this enormous move, and now they're consolidating at the highs. That's that. But when it starts to break down, right, and by here you've broken down after taking out the highs. Okay, so let me again. I'm gonna just clear the drawing set. So look where you made this high, and then you inched a little bit higher, and then you inched a little bit higher, but then you couldn't go, right? So here, like where the high of day respect was, and they started to knife back down. When they knife back down, you don't need to chase it or to be short up here because there's still a risk that it turns and goes, right? Because we could just as easily have seen Doji, it comes back here, a couple candles, it sits on this pivot, and then it rises. When you get more confirmation by here, you have 10-minute candle by candle is short. You are under the 2 minute 20 EMA, and you're under the 3 minute 20 EMA, right? In the same area, short, short. Not quite a 3 minute 20 touch, but like I'm sure you guys know by now, the 3 minute 20 touches are coming less and less frequently than the 2 minute 20s. Making sense? I hope I'm making sense. I know there's only like 9 of you in here right now, but am I making any sense before I keep going? Yeah, Dan Boy says yes. All right, Dan Boy. I'll keep going just for you, boy. I'll keep going for you, Mr. Dan Boy. Sweet. And that's it, guys. Like, it gets to be choppy. It's the end of the day. Like, how many hours a day are you really trying to trade? Like, don't you want to have a life? Leave the charts alone in the afternoon when it gets to be crap. Thursday, 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 Thursday. Okay. Thursday would have been what? Thursday would have been the 19th. Okay. This was crap. All around, this was crap, right? So, in pre market, let's look at it on the 3 minute, right? Like in pre market, or overnight, like you pushed up, you tried to push up, you push back down, you're just chopping, chopping, chopping. Then it gets just to be more chop, and it's just absolutely crap. But Joe, I don't know it's going to be crap. Correct, you don't, right? So let's just say you're going to do what you're supposed to do, and you're like, hey, I'm going to wait until the orb low and the orb high are set. Orb high, orb low. Great. Now, here you touch the 2 minute 20. This is quite aggressive. You're like, well, damn, Joe, like that was looking pretty ugly. I agree. It was looking pretty darn ugly, right? It's a hard one, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you should have taken it when it went green and turned back over VWAP. Like, give me a break, dude. Give me a break. That was hard. That was hard. It was moving fast. The majority of traders aren't going to get it. It wasn't even a golden zone retracement from the low day to the high today. You're probably just going to miss it. You were probably just going to miss it. Okay. Here's what I do like, though, right? Doesn't look good. I broke a new high day. Shit, I missed it. Okay. We come back down and we retest the 2 minute 20 again. Here we test the 3 minute 20. Now, 3 minute chart looks ugly as hell. That's an ugly, ugly look. 2 minute chart, though, what is 2 minute chart telling me? 2 minute chart is telling me, how come the bears are like they had this good wick up here. They had some momentum. Momentum fizzled out. A little bit more fizzling, fizzling. Now we're just sitting on VWAP. We were with a 2 minute 20. We fizzled right out. Even if you waited for this candle to go low, then it came up and turned green, right? Which a lot of times it does. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you got in here at 892, like, and you either risk this candle's low, which is 30 points, or that candle right there, that low, which would be 23 points. Okay. Where are you going to scale? You're going to scale at the orb high, right? So that's 38, or sorry, that's 28 points. It's about 1 to 1. It's not great, and you're going to get trail stopped out, but it's something. It is a very repeatable scalp trade. There are going to be times where this something is going to just blow the top off of high of day, right? And you don't know which time is going to do that and which time it's not. So all you can do is set yourself up to be in the best position to, hey, what can I control? I can control my entry. I can control my risk. Okay. I can control that I get in at the 2 minute 20 instead of chasing something else just blindly. Now, for those of you who are 3 minute 20 traders, like this is gonna suck because it looks ugly. Here it is, it's looking ugly. 3 minute 20. Like if you just unless you're just buying it, like yeah, you would get a greater entry here at 68 because you're just buying it. But it looks terrible, and it looks like huge rejection. Doji bears are getting stronger now. Now, like literally, I mean, let's be real here, guys. When this candle is coming down and you have a full blown bearish candle looking like this after these preceding candles, are you just going to leave your buy order sitting there most of the time? No, you're not, because you're like, shit, we're losing VWAP. We're just rounding over off the top, right? We broke the orb high, and now we look weak as hell. It looks like orb high FOBO. People aren't buying there. I'm um yeah, the chart looks like PA from hell. It does. Um so and then it's just chop, guys. Like it's just crap, right? You're over, you're under, you're over, you're under, you're over, you're under. And on the 10 minute looks like absolute crap too. Absolute crap. So the other really common saying too is inside day, stay away. The important thing to recognize here is that this price action that we're reviewing is inside of the prior day. And then after a while, it's like, well, shoot. And so what tends to be the common reoccurring theme when something like this happens is we wait for the London session to end, right? Which I believe is at 11:30. Then you get a little bit more here, and then you get into like 12 o'clock. And then when you are at around 12 o'clock, now what's happening now? Here, much cleaner setup, okay? Oh, wait a second. I was like, "Man, this looks familiar." I remember this. I took this ladder entry right here at 66, okay? After it touched the 2 minute 20, it started popping back down. I like to say this is a Robbie special because look at how like the prior wicks are all lining up here and like the prior pivot, right? You see it on the 2, you can see it on the 3, it's great on the 5, you can see it a little bit on the 10, but Yeah, actually on the 10, the 10-minute bodies like line up like right here, so it literally pushed into the bottom of these 10-minute bodies. Uh, but this one's great, right? You can be in here. Let's just say you get in with this candle flips back down. Maybe you're in at 62s, right? If you just waited, right? Okay, it wicked, it closed there. Wicks do the damage, bodies tell the story. Okay, we wicked through the 2-minute 20. We wicked basically to the 3-minute 20, but we're starting to come back down. We're starting to close lower. On the 2-minute, it's advantageous because hey, all right, now it popped up a little bit. It comes back down. Let me get in. All right, I'm in at 62. I'm in at 62, and then what do? Right? All right, well, I want to scale under the low. You want to scale under the low, you're not going to get that scale. However, we're at 52 points. In no world should you let your trade go up 52 points and then go red. Please, please don't do that. Please, please. I'm just saying, like, it's not financial advice, but for the love of God, have some sense. Don't be greedy. Okay? Trim some. Trail your stop. Oh, and the other thing too. Hold up. Forget about let's trade go red. If you were in here like at 60, right, or 62, whatever you got your entry, this strong 2-minute candle by candle flip, because this is strong, above without the low being broken, right here. Hmm. This is a time to cut the trade, bro. This is a time to cut the trade candle right here. And then if you needed even more confirmation to cut the trade, I want you to look very closely at what happened. 2-minute candle by candle flip long. You touch the 2-minute 20 EMA again. Okay. Our seller's going to hold. The next candle comes back down. And what does it do? It breaks this candle's low, which would mean you're flipping the 2-minute candle by candle. But it snaps back up and closes up here. That's a failure to flip. Again, if you didn't close out the trade. Again, they failing to hold the flip. Again, they're failing to hold the flip. At the very least, from your entry, your remaining stop should be right there. At the very least. Because logically, not your emotions, not I wanted to break low of day, not I wanted to make big profits, not I'm $100 away from having a record day. None of that crap. Logically, with what you see on the chart, time to get out. Okay? Not perfect here, guys. I mean, I make mistakes too, but we're talking about logic and trading smart. All right. What do we got going here? Here, on the 10, you did flip back long, candle by candle. You're rejecting over VWAP. You come back down. The 10-minute has this nasty upper wick, okay? Let me see the 10-minute chart here. Do you actually get a 10-minute candle by candle flip? The close of this candle is 49 and a quarter. Yes, you got a 10-minute candle by candle flip here, the 12:30 candle. So from 12:40 on, you are candle by candle short. You are now here. This whole area, right? This whole area, you're rejecting that 2-minute 20. Okay, you're rejecting the 3-minute 20. But here, where this circle is, right? From this point, from this candle on, you are 2-minute and 10-minute candle by candle short. Even still, look how you had a 2-minute candle that engulfed at least 2 prior bars from before, showing you some weakness. Look at that, right? Look what happened. Failure to flip back long. Failure to flip it back long. Failure to flip it back long, closing back under. Now, I like this candle specifically the most, right? Because what happens is you have your first 2-minute candle of the 10-minute, then it starts to push back up again, and then once it comes down, it's like, okay, within this 10-minute candle, they've already tried, they failed. Now I would feel very confident in getting in here at 48, right? Let's say you're in at 48, that's 20 points risk to the top there, and then this is nothing to scale here, right? This is only a 13-point scale. You don't really want to do that, right? You should be looking for the 10-minute candle by candle flip low, right? So what did I say we were in at? 48. This is about 20 points. All right. So this is a 1-to-1 scale here. That's fine. You may want to wait until this pivot's broken or until this pivot's broken, which is all fine. But ultimately, what do? You do break the orb low and you will hit your final objective if you don't get trail stopped out here. Again, I've talked about this many, many times with doing EDU videos and stuff like that, especially where like these two 10-minute candles have such a tremendously long wick. A lot of times, especially if I was to see like this wicking action and stuff like that, I see all this here. I'll take one off. Like if I saw this and we snap back up, we barely didn't flip the 2 minute CBC back long, and then we come back down. I'm gonna have a scale trigger here. Like you're because the market rarely gives you second chances, right? Like we know this. We know this. Oh, bro, that's a lot of snow. 8 to 16 inches. I got about I probably got about 6 maybe, 6 or 7 here. When I went to go to work last night at like I think I went to leave the house at right around 11:15, 11:20 PM. I walked out into my driveway and totally ate it. Like it I wish I had the camera clip because I ate it like in the movies. It literally went up, whoop, and like right on my back, like freaking movie. Uh, I had a good laugh at it. I was laughing hysterically because I thought it was pretty damn funny. I was like, "Oh my god, this probably looked ridiculous. My big ass flopping around like that." All right. Can you take this candle by candle short here? You can. You can. The problem is that ultimately you've already broken the key pivot, like the major pivot of the day, which is the orb low. And if you remember, we put in the orb high, what? Up here. Yes, we put in the orb high there, right? So we were repeatedly trying to go above the orb high. We couldn't. We break and base basically under VWAP, right? Which the orb low is the final objective. We've done that. So now when we failing to really go lower under orb low, you could think, okay, well, are we going to go back to VWAP? Look, then we got a double bottom and then we go to VWAP. So price action gets a little bit wonkier here. Like, why? Well, because it's getting into the afternoon and things are slower and blah blah blah. And when things are slow, you need to have probably better entries because like why do you need to have better entries? Because um, things are slower, right? And you're not going to get that volatility and that momentum that you're looking for. What did you say? Uh, I mean, kind of like that. I just didn't land on my side. I landed basically flat on my back. Okay. And then so that was Thursday, and then let's look at yesterday, Friday, and we're gonna wrap up this EDU session. I am sorry I'm already at 45 minutes, but if you're finding value in this, then I'm not sorry. I am finding value in reviewing this just simply for myself. So let's remove this. Here we go. So again, we're gonna mark the orb low, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna mark this one. Wait a second. No, 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 no. The orb high was here, right? Yes, that's the orb high. All right. So then, like, this was all really wonky, and things were moving really fast. I know there's trade of issues and this, that, whatever. Forget about all that. Forget you didn't know anything about all that, right? And you were just simply looking at the price action. Now, I do not believe because I know the EMAs will get pulled throughout the session. This was not that close to the 2 minute 20. Okay. I believe that the 2 minute 20 got a little bit pulled up more and closer to this candle when you had this candle here that was 192 points. Like it's going to move the EMAs. EMAs lag a little bit. Okay. And since EMAs lag a little bit, I like the 2 minute 20 entries better than the 3 minute 20s because by the time the EMA catches, or if you have this monster move, you'll come back and review it later and say, oh, that did touch the 3 minute EMA. When in reality, a lot of times it doesn't. Okay. So, where a lot of these 2 minute 20 entries that I've been talking about, you were seeing it decisively pierce through it, which regardless of what happened, but then we know we're touching that in live market hours. Okay. So thing here is like, yeah, you put in this high, yeah, you flip the CBC short on the two, then look at what you have here, and then you're just ultimately you're just sitting here holding this area, right? Boom, 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 boom. And this is the bearish candle here where the bears failed to flip it lower, right? So you know there are stuck bears here who then what are they going to do? They're going to turn to bulls, and then pop goes the news, right? The news goes up, the news comes down, 2 minute candle by candle flip short. There is no world in which this is the prime short entry, okay? Just don't do it. Okay, I understand. You're like, well, Joe, we've already done this. Just don't do it. There's a lot of news volatility here. Just don't do it, right? Like this ain't it. This ain't it, okay? This is 124 125.2 minute candle. This ain't it. Now, when you get the doji that pushes off of the VWAP or whatever, now you can have a little bit more defined risk. However, this chart is whacked because even if you entered in here and said, I will risk the prior candle's low, it is 55 points. So in order for you to truly risk from a technical perspective, let's just say 60 points, just in case they wick under it, you're going to have to size way down. If your normal risk is 20 points and you want to risk 60, you have to do what? Cut your position by a third. So you have to cut it down to 1/3 of the normal size. You have to cut it by 2/3 to 1/3 of its normal size. If you normally take 6 cons, that means you're only taking 2. Okay. And you want to make sure that you adjust your scale triggers appropriately because if things are going to move fast, it would be really silly to risk 55 points here and then like take your targets off of 15 and 25 and be like, I'm done. When just on this one candle alone to the candle high here, it runs 80 points. Okay. And that 80 points is going to come fast. So even if you didn't know all that, that's fine. Right? You get, that opportunity here, right? Okay, whatever. Wait till the next opportunity. 2 minute 20, 3 minute 20. Like comes back down to VWAP, same area again. You see that it looks like we're double bottoming. Even if you waited all the way until this candle actually turned back green. Like, yes, you probably would say, well, I don't want to risk that candle's low. We've already gone down there. Well, what I'm seeing here is a very, very important sign. We didn't break this low. Again, we could not break below this zone that I drew here. Okay. If it's not your trade, it's not your trade. Don't do anything. It's fine. Oh, look what we have here now. We have a 3 candle reversal setup, right? Sometimes, people will call that like a 3 bar play, whatever. I just call it reversal setup. You're candle by candle short. You break under the EMA. You come back, you retest it. You can't go any lower. This candle turns green. You're in long here at 935s. Let's say you're in long here at 940, 941.66. You get an oddball entry. You're risking 35-ish points to the low. Okay, that's not bad, right? Obviously, you should be thinking about targeting like this pivot for sure. It's about 100 points away, right? You would scale up along the way. Maybe you move your stop a little bit aggressively because if you went from here, from 41, and you saw this candle peaked up here at 16, you're up 75 points and you can't think about giving it all the way back. And so you trail stop out under here or whatever. Fine. Great trade. Great trade. And then you're like, well, shoot, the market did its wacky thing and it got me and it hit my stop and then it took off without you. Okay. And welcome to trading in the market, folks. This shit's going to happen. So, you get up in here, we're above orb high, we're above initial balance high, we're above everything. And we are sweeping above, right? Really important factor here is we actually break over the high from Wednesday. This is a Wednesday higher break here. So if you were charting and marking it out, you would see that this is a key pivot area. Fine. We've broken a key pivot. We are extended over the highs. Everything is, we're up here. And this literally, if you had done nothing else, tell me this doesn't look like it's rounding over on the 2. On 2 and 3, guys, that looks like it's rounding over. And this is the same line, so we wouldn't even have that candle yet. On the 3, it doesn't look like it's rounding over as much. On the 2, however, it does. On the 3, it still looks okay. Okay? So again, I'm not trying to say that the 2 is superior. I've got so much more experience watching the 2 that I feel more confident in it. Yeah. So Depp just took a screenshot of this. Shout out Depp. He said for this right here, your over VWAP morning star previous resistance turned into support. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is really great. Like I would 100%, I would say that Robbie would have posted about this for sure. This looks fantastic. Okay. So if we're looking at what happens here. Right here is your 10-minute 20 EMA. It reverses. Now, yes, you're under the 2-minute 20. You didn't catch the short move. Okay. And you didn't catch it. That's great. Because you didn't have your entry criteria. You didn't have your entry set up. That's fine. If you took it here, it was an aggressive entry. If you took it here, that's great. I would have had to been risking, maybe this pivot high or whatever. And, if you wanted to risk that 30 points, that's on you, right? But if you didn't take it because it wasn't your proper entry setup, that's totally fine because we are over VWAP. We are over your 10-minute EMAs. And then technically speaking, your 10-minute candle hasn't closed and flipped short yet here either. So your 10-minute candle closes and flips short right here. So now you have a 10-minute CBC short. You do not even get an upper wick at all in the next 10-minute candle flushes. So this is a trade that's like, okay, well, I missed it. The market didn't give me an entry. Maybe it gives me an entry. Let me see what happens at the next 2-minute 20 interaction. All right. Okay. And I should say too, here, right here, you haven't flipped the 10-minute CBC short either. So your next 3-minute 20 interaction is here. I know this from extensive experience. I can't go short here. This is not a short trade setup. I took this trade long right here. I took this trade long right here. I put my stop down below here. I actually moved my stop a little bit lower just to prevent possible wicking out. When it moved back up and this candle turned green here on the 2 right here, I moved my stop to this candle's low. And that was it. It was off to the races. Why? Right? I understand that, yes, the 10-minute candle by candle is short, but you had a 10-minute 20 EMA bounce. You've had a very powerful 2-minute candle by candle flip, right? Engulfing. I mean, I guess you could say really only engulfing like a couple candles, but powerful enough. Doji pause here, unable to break the low. Truly, like I took it long here. The actual entry was either here in this body or actually in the following candle's wick. Right. I was early. Right. Even though the trade worked, it's really important that you look at your trades through a very, very objective lens. And I am telling you, my entry was wrong. I did not have enough confirmation. I am lucky that it worked out, but I was wrong when I entered. It worked out, but I was too early. Okay. I can't tell you. I just got a like little side rant here. I can't tell you how many people like talk to me about their trades, and then it just starts with "I feel," and it's just like, I feel like you're not being objective here, bro, because like I'm being objective. My entry was early. Just because it worked out doesn't mean that you were right. Um, and I want to strive for trades that I feel good about, even if I take a loss on it. I feel good about that setup. I feel good about where I entered. I feel good about where I stopped. I feel good because objectively, fundamentally, process driven wise, I like all of that lines up with this is what happened here on the trade. So boom, it works. Okay. Can you take a 2-minute 20 or a 3-minute 20 entry long here? No, right? You're seeing potential for a lower high. You obviously saw the sellers really held this area. 2-minute candle by candle flipped short here. It tried to pop up, it tried to hold, and then this flag just broke down, right? Flag breakdown, engulfing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 12 minutes of price action right here, knifed through in 2, right? 12 minutes of price action, knife through in 2. For here, you have 9 minutes of price action. Really, if you wanted to count this candle too, you could say the same thing, 12 minutes, knife through in 3. Not good. Okay. You get the candle by candle flip there. It goes back short. It flips back underneath the EMAs here. This would be an aggressive entry because the 10-minute hasn't flipped short yet. Once you get to the 10-minute, the flip short, right, you're over here, and it's like you're stuck because yes, this is going to be subpar. Nice job. Depp took the short double top on ES. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nice work. Yep, 15-minute evening star rarely fails. That was a good trade. What I mean by you're stuck is you can see how this pivot gets knifed through. Yeah, they're coming back down. You're at the 2-minute 20. But the concern here is that you've been near the 2-minute 20 and you retested this. Ooh, don't do that. You retested this pivot area here and like you can't, like, you're not flipping it back short. And when you had this one, like, this would be like, oh man, like I missed it. So either you're taking the aggressive entry, just like risking the pivot, risking above here or something, or if you're still just truly waiting for the interaction, you should be very concerned that you knife through VWAP again, like melted butter, and then it just snapped back up here. It's not good because the 2-minute candle by candle structure didn't flip, right? And even though you get the 3-minute flip, it's instantly reclaimed. That's not good either. Like, so by the time you get to the 3-minute 20, it's like, well, shoot, this don't look good. Like none of this looks good. None of this feels good. Um, and then I think too is like all of this price action. You just got to be really aware of like what's going on in the world. This was all leading up into Trump speaking, so things were just starting to move wacky. Like this candle. I remember when it printed, I was like, whoa, because this sucker moved down and back up in a hurry. Um, Trump starts talking. Trump's talking. It pushes up. You know, Trump's talking. Trump's talking. Trump's talking. Stay away when Trump is talking. I don't care if you like him or you hate him. I don't care if you're MAGA or you're Kamala. I don't care. Just stay away when he's talking. Okay. It doesn't matter who's in office if you're just trying to make money trading technicals on a chart. People are just like, oh, I hate him. Shut up. Shut up. He's not, he, like, for all you people who just keep complaining about it, because people would say stuff about, you're going to say stuff about anybody in any administration. Stop saying that you hate Trump or that Trump is the root cause of all your trading failures, because Trump is not forcing your finger on the damn button. Like, get over yourself. End of rant. There's no other really good trade setups here. Like, you recognize that you're choppy here. The only thing that you do have again that happens here is you make another lower high, like off of the top. So here, here, here. Like you can see you're just making lower high, lower high. Like you know what I mean? And even if it's just relative to this one, you make a distinct lower high, and then you have a candle by candle flip short here. So I wouldn't be trying the long here. This is a long that's going to potentially fail. It does. You get candle by candle flip back long into the 2-minute 20, but your 10-minute is short. Your 10-minute candle structure looks rough. It looks like you're potentially going to come back down, and then you get like little moves, like maybe here. All right, well we flip back down with some strength. We pull back. Let me take it short. You take it short at 63. You could get 20 points if you just held it for a little while. You could get be another 15 out of it. It's not great. It's not great on a Friday afternoon. Just leave it be. So that's right. His words do move markets, and you just need to let it go. So that's it. That's the session. That's what I wanted to cover. 2-minute, 3-minute scalp entries. Questions before we wrap it? Somebody please ask me, Joe, will this recording be posted? Yes, dog. Yes. It'll be posted soon. Anybody else? Anybody else got any real questions? All right. An hour and 2 minutes. Sorry I went so long. I hope you found some value in this. I feel like I've been talking a mile a minute, just trying to talk as fast as I can, and just cover 5 days worth of price action, scalp entries, try to teach you something at the same time. But I appreciate y'all for watching, and have a great weekend.